If you're under the dogmatic and religious oppression of the ideology that the sun is the center of the solar system, this video's for you. Let's read a Edwin Hubble quote talking about this. Read the whole quote if you'd like to. We're going to skip down to right around here. Such a condition would imply that we occupy a unique position in the universe, analogous, in a sense, to the ancient conception of a central Earth. The hypothesis cannot be disproved, but it is unwelcome and would be accepted only as a last resort in order to save the phenomena. Here's another quote, which none of these are really seeming like actual science. It seems like they just have a philosophical bias because they hate God. I don't know. The struggle so violent in the early days of science between the views of Ptolemy and Copernicus would then be quite meaningless. Either coordinate system could be used with equal justification. The two sentences, the sun is at rest and the earth moves, or the sun moves and the earth is at rest, would simply mean two different conventions concerning two different coordinate systems. And finally, shout out George F.R. Ellis, basically saying the exact same thing. People need to be aware that there is a range of models that could explain the observations. For instance, I can construct for you a spherically symmetrical universe with Earth at its center, and you cannot disprove it based on observations. You can only exclude it on philosophical grounds. In my view, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. What I want to bring into the open is the fact that we are using philosophical criteria in choosing our models. A lot of cosmology tries to hide that. These scientists, pseudoscientists, physicists, and all of the like, all do not like the idea of a central Earth with everything else revolving around us, which is what the default position is when you go out and observe the Earth from a terrestrial position. Every observation, even the cosmic microwave background, suggests that we are at the center of all creation. This is my new account here. This is Polaris, sitting in the exact same spot for thousands of years, while we're supposed to be going 4.9 billion miles in a singular year. This is my new account, guys. Share this video.
What's up, my buds? I have breaking news. NASA announces delay of its Artemis moon missions until 2025 and 2026. I have to say I'm not surprised one bit. Oh, it's worse than I thought, my buds. NASA announced Tuesday it is delaying its first crewed missions to the moon in decades, delaying a moon flyby until September 2025. Oh, the sorrow! And an attempted landing on the moon until September 2026. No! To safely carry out these missions, agency leaders are adjusting the schedules for Artemis 2 and Artemis 3 to allow teams to work through challenges associated with first-time developments, operations, and integrations, NASA said in a release. Well, thank you, NASA. Thank you. We appreciate your concern for safety. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're upset by this information, you really ought to look into Flat Earth, because it makes a lot of sense why these would be delayed and why they're delayed so often. And don't let the heretics or zealots tell you it's because of safety. They had problems with components and they needed to make sure that it was operational and functional, and there was no problems with it. Yes, we get it, but we're just tired of the coincidences. When are we going to get another fake moon landing so we can analyze the videos and the data, and they'll tell us it's CGI because it has to be? I, for one, can't wait until they go back to the moon. I'm sorry, I'm the one who had to break the bad news to you guys about the Artemis mission. I know some of you are so excited. Stay flat, my buds.
He highlighted the presence of wires, harnesses, green screens, and virtual reality elements, all of which have been detected to create the illusion of weightlessness. He recounted the instances of astronauts fading in and out of the screen, glitches with the green screens, interactions with objects that seemingly weren't there, and even astronauts appearing seemingly out of thin air. These peculiar occurrences led Justin to question the authenticity of the footage. Furthermore, he revealed additional perplexing instances during spacewalks outside the ISS.
So many times during spacewalks outside the International Space Station, we can see air bubbles rising up. Can you touch on how there are air bubbles in space?
Can you be more specific? Air bubbles?
So yeah, like a lot of times during the footage, the NASA footage, you can see bubbles coming up out of the helmets or kind of from underneath you. How do you explain bubbles in space?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about.
Does anyone actually believe that Nixon made a phone call to the moon, which is supposedly 265,000 miles away? Yet we can't even get reception from an airplane that is just a couple of miles up? And have you ever thought, if they were the first ones on the moon, who was filming their landing? If you seriously believe this, you really got issues. Let me clear some things up and show you what the Word of God says about the moon. So we know in Genesis 1 verse 7, God made the firmament to divide the waters under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. Right, so Yah created this firmament dome to separate the waters from above, right, so they wouldn't come crashing down on us, and so that the dry land could appear. It's nothing like this. And then he made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. The lesser light to rule the night, that is the moon. Look what it says here. God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. So we know the moon is also a light of its own. It's not a rock that's reflecting light. He confirms this again when we look at Matthew 24:29. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light. The moon is not a physical object or a rock that you can land on. It is a light that God placed inside the firmament. Now how can we confirm what Yah says about the moon is true? Well, he considers the moon a her, meaning feminine. Well, there's about 12 full moons every year. Women have about 12 to 13 menstrual cycles per year. 15 days after the start of a new moon, the moon is the most full moon. Women are most fertile 14 days before the start of a new menstrual cycle, which would mean about 15 days after the start of a new one. They're the most fertile. Everything has been intelligently designed by God.
Yo TikTok. So today we're gonna mix a lot of entertainment with much fact and truth and reality. So with that being said, this video is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Let's crack right on. So this guy here, his name is Samuel Shenton. Samuel Shenton was born in 1903. Samuel Shenton was the person who created the Flat Earth Research Society. Not the Flat Earth Society that you guys know of today, not the Shill Society. He started the very first Flat Earth Research Society. Now, if you're under the illusion or the belief that Flat Earth started as a joke in 2014 or 2015, then I suggest you watch this video and then come back in.
Mr. Samuel Shenton, who lives in Dover and who believes the Earth is shaped like a gramophone record.
Links very much with the statement which was given out by General Boardman, the astronaut. The Earth in its early stages was revealed from the waters, and it was revealed as a four-square fabric.
Like this, in fact.
The astronauts fired off from Cape Canaveral. They went on an egg-shaped orbit over this like that.
Keeping the same height all the time.
Absolutely so.
In fact, there isn't any South Pole.
No. The 60,000 miles was round the ice barrier, and so far, man has not gone across the ice barrier to investigate any further.
Some of our earliest evidence can be found in ancient Mesopotamian imagery. As might be expected, these propose varying forms of a flat Earth model. For example, Sumerian and Babylonian depictions portray the Earth as a flat disk, ringed by mountains, floating on the ocean with the hemispherical skyvault resting upon the summits. This roof was punctured by small holes through which one could see the celestial fires of heaven. The pyramid texts of ancient Egypt, which date to the Old Kingdom, demonstrate a similar flat Earth model, with a planar body surrounded by eternal seas.
So, why did I just play this? What was the reason that I played these videos? The reason is, flat Earth isn't a new concept. Flat Earth is a very, 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 very old concept. In fact, flat Earth is the original concept. Okay? Now I know a lot of you globers out there, a lot of people who have been taught by the system, by the education system in school, in college, in universities, all of you guys believe that the spherical Earth is the original model. Correct? But it's not. And let me show you how. So, let me just quickly start with breaking down Pythagoras. This man was accredited with teaching Plato and Aristotle's thoughts and ideas. This is a lie. Plato did not get his ideas from Pythagoras. In fact, Plato was directly taught by Socrates. Now this article does not mention Socrates anywhere, does not make any claim for Socrates anywhere, like it does for Plato and Aristotle. Aristotle and Plato never knew Pythagoras, but they did know Socrates. Now, let me move on to Socrates. Okay, so still on Pythagoras, and as we scroll, the only mention of Socrates we see is the pre-Socratic philosophy. So I clicked pre-Socratic philosophy, and it takes us to Socrates. Now this isn't a direct mention of Socrates from the Pythagoras page to Socrates. This is them showing you how they've removed the Socratic link. They've had to put in pre-Socratic philosophy, which means simply before Socratic teachings. So, again, Pythagoras does not speak about Socrates. However, they do speak about the pre-Socratic teachings. Now, what was Socrates most famously known for? Okay, so here we go, the trial of Socrates. Now, let me just quickly start by saying Socrates was found guilty. Okay? He was found guilty of failing to acknowledge the gods of the city and making up his own gods, and corruption of the youth. Now, where do you think this corruption of the youth page is going to take me to when I click it? Brainwashing. Hold on a minute. So anybody who believes in the spherical Earth teachings and Socratic philosophy is brainwashed? No. Guys, it is seriously time that you all wake up. Stop living in this slumber, this brainwashed, hypnotized state that you live in, and wake yourself up to reality.
I just had to know why NASA is the home of the world's largest flame retardant green screen. Which of course I get fact checked, and then they say, no, we had Big Easy Studios in our facility filming a few movies, but it's the court case mentioned at the bottom that had me really interested, which we'll get to that, and man, it's condemning. Big Easy Studios has everything you need for your next major studio or independent project. So they're a company that helps studios get their footing.
We also have Big Easy Productions, and they do movies that I can't talk about right now, but they also do movie productions here as well. So
what? Why can't you talk about it? Taking a look inside Michu facility, you'll see the green screen and you'll see the inside of their stage studio, which just so happens to look exactly like Warner Brothers' stage studio. And on the B-roll footage, when they went inside Michow, they showed a lot of the effects that Michow uses in their production, showing that they can augment reality right in front of your eyes. They show you they can make a spaceship appear out of thin air. They show you that even the rockets that you see on television could possibly be this CGI effects that they apparently use throughout this whole presentation in their B-roll footage. Faking gravity by having people hold on to their hair, faking the inside of shuttles, and the list goes on. We're talking about layered footage, green screen, CGI, the whole 9 yards that we always accuse NASA of doing. And now you see that they do it with ease. Here's some footage of them utilizing the world's largest green screen. And I want you to take note. Look at this harness. You see how it's sitting on this person and it's going up under the legs like that's actually a ZFX flying effects harness. ZFX specializes in movie harnesses. This is that harness that was being used. It's the 3-point harness. And looky there, NASA is on ZFX client list. Notice where these wires extend from, and look where this astronaut grabs this other astronaut right at the waist, where that harness has its wires. This is their background picture on Facebook, and take a good look at this. Look familiar? Now pretend you're standing about right here. You'll realize that it's Big Easy Studios. So what came first? Big Easy Studios or NASA?
How about size? How does it compare size-wise? Stage 2 is 13,000 square feet, which is comparable to many. And this stage is 31,000. I mean, the visual effects budgets for movies have gone from a few million to tens of millions. So, you know, we have rocket scientists and all that kind of stuff working on movies. So, you know, we have rocket scientists and all that kind of stuff working on movies.
Now on to this court case, which you can find online and read yourself. So Big Easy Studios takes NASA to court and says, look, you should have extended our lease agreement. We made so many improvements to your facility, NASA, and we had movie commitments with you. So Big Easy Studios wants to question NASA on some training material that Big Easy Studios taught NASA employees, and NASA asked to be shielded from having to discuss these said training materials. And Big Easy Studios is upset that NASA is taking Big Easy Studios training material, teaching their new employees, but only special access credentialed NASA employees can access these training courses. NASA does not want to talk about this training course. They are seeking protection from having to discuss it because they don't want to have to go through annoyance, embarrassment, oppression, undue burden, or expense. Think about that. It's going to be pretty annoying when the truth gets out. Everyone finds out you're a film studio and they start riding your butt, auditing the crap out of you. And it's going to be pretty embarrassing that you lied all this time. And yeah, you're probably going to go through some oppression. You're going to be oppressed by the people. And undue burden or expense, well, $62 million a day. Yeah, taxpayers are going to want that money back.
Believe it or not, they process 1/3 of the federal government payroll. And that's over $200 billion every 2 weeks that runs through this particular facility.
So what, did NASA just hijack these people's film studio and just take it over, or what? There have been so many articles coming out recently about how people should not do their own research because that might lead them to believing in conspiracy. Look, here's the thing. If we do our own research, we'll find discoveries like this, and it makes it a lot easier to audit a place that has been lying to us all this time. They show you in public footage, the B-roll footage, where they're showing you how they CGI make everything. You know, NASA's a film studio, and the sooner we expose this, I encourage you guys to find this court case, make your own content on it, or share this video. You know, they've been doing this for how long now? And we have all of these pieces, all these moving parts now that connect together, and we see that they've been duping us. How many coincidences before you realize and you say, okay, fine, I've been lied to. Now let's handle it. Let's handle it, and let's just get justice. And at the very least, get your taxpayer dollars back. Undue burden or expense. That's what they're worried about. They don't want to talk about how they were trained to do all this stuff because they're afraid of being embarrassed, okay, and having to pay you back and being oppressed by you. Wow.
Don't waste any more time. Visit the links above now and order my book 16 Emergency Landings Proving Flat Earth. Visit my online store now and order the new enhanced Gleason's Flat Earth map. This map used to be in every school and library in the nation before NASA was created in 1958, when the maps were ordered removed. Have your Gleason's map hanging on the wall in your house where no government can take it down. Here you see it hanging on a wall in the house of the late Charles K. Johnson. Here is a quote from the book 1984 by George Orwell. Every record has been destroyed or falsified, every book rewritten, every picture has been repainted, every statue and street building has been renamed, every date has been altered, and the process is continuing day by day and minute by minute. History has stopped. Order your map now.